when I was deciding the name for this podcast, I went to I think one of the top influencers today in podcasting. I think he's got probably one of the most number of downloads in podcasting, and he was my mentor. And I'm grateful for Sam Crowley to help me with this. And he had made a mention, I don't want to call it a criticism, but a critical point. He said the no comfort zone's kind of too broad. It's too out there. And I get his point. What the no comfort zone is to me, um, from from a very long from a long time ago, for the better part of my life, I've lived in fear and wanted to play safe. I'm a very shy person by nature, and I had to find ways for me to feel like I'd fit in. Grade school, just not feeling like I fit in anywhere, and even today I struggle with that now. And I'm saying that from a vulnerable point of view so I can connect with you, the listener. You might not believe that, but I was terrified to speak on stage. So I had to get out of that fear and get out of my comfort zone to do that. And how I did that was acting as if I was afraid to join the Marines. So somebody challenged me, and so I did it. And I tried to do the best I could at that. And I just kept trying to get outside of my comfort zone. So if I lacked in a certain area, I would go read about it, study about it, and analyze the situation, and then put myself out there. I would try to mitigate the risk as best I could. So the more that I did that, the better off I would be. So this podcast, after all the adversity and all the crap that I went through, after all the risk that I ran through, this podcast became a very, very real thing. And what I want to talk about today in the podcast is confidence and influence, and basically the keys to owning a room. What do you do after you've had your legs kicked out, you're on the canvas, your back's on the ground? How do you build yourself back up? I'm going to use the blueprint to discuss this. I look forward to seeing you on the inside.
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
Confidence and influence. So I remember, goes back a long way, but I kind of want to get into like a backstory. Confidence and influence. I wasn't accepted very well when I first became a sales manager by my team. And it did hurt my feelings. I got passed over like 6 times. I was kind of ridiculed before I got into that role. And I know why. Because I worked really hard at learning the material because I'm not very salesy. I don't think I am. So I had to read books. As a matter of fact, at one point in my career, I was called the canned salesman because I would write down scripts, not word tracks, but scripts. And I would memorize scripts, and I would talk because I didn't want to sell. I wanted to connect with people, but I was awkward. So I would end up writing down scripts to help me connect with people. And I realized that my personality wasn't showing through. Then I learned from another sales trainer the importance of word tracks. And that was a wonderful lesson that I learned about word tracks and personality through bullet point technology and word tracks. And that really, I studied them. I read them a lot. I read the book, How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins. And I really took that to heart. And I started studying more and more, and I got really good at it. And I can say that I got really good at it. And then I got an opportunity I was excelling in my career in sales. I was given an opportunity to become a manager. I got passed over, another opportunity passed over. And finally, I was just disgruntled. I kept getting passed over. And it's because my volume of sales was so high, they didn't want to take me off of the floor and I was like, well, listen, I look bad in my spouse's eyes because I keep getting passed over. I look like a goof because I thought being a manager was more important than being a salesperson. I was mistaken. However, it finally got to the point where I was ready to just say, F it. If you don't promote me, I'm out. I was kind of a jerk about it. Well, anyway, I got the opportunity. Why am I saying all this? Why am I bringing this up? I'm going to share with you this about confidence because that's where we're at now. That's what we're talking about. I studied so much in private, word tracks, scripts, process, timing, the process of selling, the psychology, the art, the science. I read so much on it that it wasn't authentic until it became authentic, until I got rid of that fear of I got to sell something, until it just became one of those, I know what I'm doing. I can help you with this. It was more about the customer than it was about me. And then things just became easy. Then I understood the whole, it took me 7 years to figure this out, but then I just figured it out. And when I did, I never really looked back. And then it was wonderful. My customers liked me and I got along and things were good. But transitioning into management was really difficult. And then it was a process of now I have to teach. I'm not a teacher at the time. I have to teach my team how to sell. Well, I went from being a competitor with all those salespeople because they weren't very nice to me. Now I'm their manager and I have to help them sell. And I had to mature in that capacity. Now, this is episodes about confidence and influence. And how does this relate from sales to your personal life? Because the number of repetitions I did with word tracks and scripts and putting myself out there and getting uncomfortable every day does have an impact in your daily choices and decisions that you make and who you surround yourself with and the process of designing that ideal day. Confidence is not how you feel. It's about how you show up. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to develop unshakable self-esteem. You have to know all of the pain that you've went through to get where you're at today. And if you don't have pain in your life, good for you. Set bigger goals. Set bigger goals. If you're comfortable, happy, and you're going down the life raft of the river, life's good, great. But just wait. You might be at the edge of a waterfall, and that might be Niagara Falls. I'm just saying. Be careful. You might have to set bigger goals out there. Just consider that for a minute, okay? I did. I thought everything was going great until I realized I was up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. I just wasn't paying attention. Overspending, not paying attention to the family, not paying attention to my career, and then all of a sudden, not paying attention to my health, the carpet got pulled out from under me. The reality check for me was going to a seminar and the speaker who knew me as a salesperson, who knew me as a manager, who knew me as a trainer, said to me, do me a favor, would you introduce me? That's it. That's all he said. I've already aligned myself as a trainer. I've already aligned myself as a closer. I've already aligned myself as a person in the industry who was pretty good at training salespeople because of all the repetitions I had and because of the success my salespeople had. It took me a long time to get there. But here's where the confidence came. It's at the point when somebody asked me to stand up on stage. Now remember, I was not comfortable speaking up on stage. I just got news that morning that there was challenges in my relationship. This is a long time ago, by the way, a very long time ago. I just got the idea that my foundation of my marriage was pretty much coming to an end. I also had the very good idea that there could have been some infidelity going on. I wasn't sure, but it could have been happening. So when the sales trainer asked me to announce him, I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to disappoint either. So when the opportunity presented itself, I was angry. I was upset. I was hurt. I was in a position, pardon my language on the podcast, I didn't give a fuck. So in front of everybody on the stage, and I've never spoke to an audience of this size ever, They gave me a microphone, and for about, I would say, 10 minutes unscripted, instead of saying what I was supposed to say, this is so-and-so from such and such who's going to be doing a presentation about an upcoming seminar, I became unglued and talking about how this sales trainer taught me this and he taught me that, and I implemented this and I implemented that, these word tracks, and how it elevated my career and how I went from here to there. And I'm being vague because this isn't a sales podcast. What I'm saying is that all the repetitions that I did, the practice, the drilling, the rehearsing, the reading, and working on my craft in one area of my life had an opportunity to show up in another area. And immediately I became an influencer in that stage. After that little mini seminar was done, the trainer called me up and said, I don't know what just happened there, but that was like a stick of dynamite. I've never had in the history, and this guy's been training salespeople for 30 years, in a high level one. He said, I've never had anybody sign up like that ever. He said the whole entire room closed. Everybody signed up after yours. And the next audience that came in after, it was a much lower percentage rate, but everybody signed up at yours. I want you to come work for me. And that's how I got into the national sales trainer. And there's other stories on that. Now, why do I digress and spend time telling you about that? Because when I was going through my story of adversity and I got to that point of average, I risked everything by taking the extra 10 minutes and going over my story like a stick of dynamite in front of all those people. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was just pissed that morning. But I put it out there and I taught some knowledge about my aspect of what I learned from this guy in the sales arena that I shared with my team, that I shared with about, I guess maybe 200 people. And what happened from there changed the course of my entire career. Now, I'm sharing this with you because in my blueprint, the No Comfort Zone blueprint, I'm sharing with you that it's not just how you feel, it's about how you show up. And sometimes you're going to have to show up. You're going to have your helmet on, your mouthpiece in, and you're going to have to be ready to go. And the only way that you can do that is you're going to have to show up early. You're going to have to own the room. Whether that's going to be coming into your house, transitioning in. I've talked about this on many podcasts before. Transitioning from work to your house, transitioning from house to your work, transitioning from the hallway to the meeting you're going in, transitioning from your office to the boardroom, transitioning from dealing with a customer to dealing with, employees. You're going to have to transition. You're going to have to do that. You're going to have to be in a position of authority most of the time. Now, how do you do that? You're going to have to be prepared. You have to have the knowledge, the attitude, the skills, and the habits working for you. Now, you can do that with relationships and who you network with. You can do that by having the success mindset, which is what we've been talking about all week. But you also have to know this. You're going to have to be trustworthy. And the only way that you can be trustworthy, listen folks, the only way that you can be trustworthy is you have to start the day with intention. The night before, write out what your ideals are and what your goals are. Wake up with intention, with congruity and integrity. You're starting the day off the right way. My intentions for the ideal day are this. This is the person I'm going to show up to be proactively. This is what I want to accomplish. This is what I want my people to aspire to be. This is how I'm going to help them. Because if you can help people get what they want, you're going to get what you want in return. Whether it's in business, a relationship, confidence is your secret weapon. And you have to develop that. Because if you can develop that and everybody knows that you're the alpha, that you're the person that can help them, people will follow you. And in order to be a leader, you're going to have followers. And the only way people are going to follow you is if they trust you, if you have their best interest at heart. I struggle with this, folks. I'm telling you, I struggle with this. This is a hard thing to do. I've talked about it on my blueprint, and I'll tell you this. That time on the stage was one of the most impactful moments in my life because I've had friends and colleagues in there. So I've had competitors in that room. When they saw me speak, I've got phone calls afterwards. Who are you? I saw you go from the quiet, easygoing guy to this super intense, passionate, driven speaker. And for 10 minutes, I don't know what I just saw, but I want more of that. And I'll be honest, folks, it scared me because it was intoxicating. Personal life was going down the drain with my marriage, and I knew that was happening. Now, all of a sudden, I have this intoxicating moment in front of everybody, and I didn't know what happened. I left right after. It wasn't until the phone calls afterwards, like, what just happened? It was a big moment for me, which came with when I left the automobile industry for that time period and was traveling around and doing training. That was a very intoxicating moment of my life, and it was an exhausting moment in my life. And I always still felt I never fixed the problems of I'm not worthy to do this. The only reason I got this is because I was angry at the moment. I still had the passion and the intensity, but I never fixed who I was. But then I realized something. And a big part of the blueprint that I created to help people through their adversity is this. There is a secret weapon and a part of this, how to gain confidence and influence, and the keys to owning every room. And I call it the 4 E's, and it is a big part of the blueprint. And it's one of those things when I'm in my backyard by the fire pit, by the pond, I'm chilling out with now I have 18 koi fish. I just checked them out. The pond was frozen over, and I got a chance to check them out and see how many are there. I think, it's 18 now. I'm counting them because they're all slowed down because of the weather in the Midwest. But, I'm thinking about this, and a big part of the reflecting time that I have, a huge part of the blueprint comes down to what key areas do people need to know in their life that make the biggest impact on their success or their failure? And what was it for me to go from the very bottom of where I was at when I hit rock bottom? What didn't I have to now at the top when I'm feeling the best version of myself and when I'm able to be in that flow state where I'm helping people when people reach out to me and I'm able to have that contact with them? What is the difference? And what can be true for you, the listener, if you need help? And if you jot this down, if you write this down, if you're driving to work, if you're on the treadmill, wherever you're at in the world, it comes down to 4 things. And here are the 4 things that can give you unstoppable confidence and influence. And the keys to actually, being having your spouse look at you differently, having your kids look at you differently, because this is what every follower wants from their leader. They want to know, does their leader have enthusiasm, engagement, excitement, and energy? It's the 4 E's. Do you have energy, excitement, enthusiasm, engagement? Do you have that? Because if you have that, you can create conviction. You can create certainty. You can create this environment where people want to follow you and be part of a team. Whether it's in your family, I know it sounds kind of silly, but you can create that environment in your team where everyone's working together and helping each other. It's such a cohesive thing where you do things. You eat dinner together. You are together. No social media. You're together having conversations around the fire pit, chilling out with the fish, which is something that we actually do. Spending those times together in the living room without the TV, without the social media, or in business, having a conversation with the employees to find out what's important to them. We don't do that enough. Getting up early and starting the day the right way so that everyone's programmed your way versus what's going on in the world. How about that for an impact? Confidence and influence. It's such an important thing when it comes to how we start our day and how we finish our day, because the influence comes from with you. I think the 4 E's are such a huge part of this, and the confidence and the influence that I lacked so much in my life because I was looking for it from everyone else, it really comes down to you. And if you can break that comfort zone and just realize that, make it uncomfortable for yourself for a minute. Don't try to get yourself comfortable all the time. Don't eat right away. Don't make things uncomfortable for you. Don't take a nap right away. Go exercise. Go push yourself. Make life a little bit uncomfortable for yourself. Don't go for the immediate gratification. Delay the response. Put more execution in. Challenge yourself a little bit more. Push yourself. Develop that muscle of confidence. See if you can influence the people right around you. See how that works out. Watch your business, watch your relationship, watch your confidence grow, and then everyone's going to start to look at you a little bit different. You're going to become unrecognizable. And all it's going to come down to is this. You've actually and literally started to, just in this past week of these episodes, you're getting so further and further outside of your comfort zone, you're becoming unrecognizable. And each and every single day you do more and more of this, what you're doing is you're living on purpose. And the only way you can live on purpose is if you get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.